Death by water is the shortest section in the wasteland. It has a parable-like form and it has an inherent message. It describes the merciless death of a sailor, possibly an echo from Madame Sosostris. Fear death by water. So there is no chance of renewal of this sailor's life because he does not believe in the spiritual value. He cannot connect himself with baptism. Those who are baptized with Christ, they have a hope of resurrection, a renewal of life. But in this case, there is no such hope, but the critics have given different interpretation of this section. So we have some important comments from these key critics. Let's read some of the statement. Death by water has a parable-like form in the shortest section of the wasteland. It describes in 8 lines Philebus the Phoenician lying dead in the sea. An echo of the drowned Phoenician sailor from Madame Sosostris. The Phoenician is killed by water, that life-giving force which is a symbol of fertility and rebirth. But water is also the means of death. So there is an ambiguity in the use of water symbol similar to the fire symbol. Fire can be a symbol of purification, but it could be the symbol of passion for lust. So water and fire, they have been played against each other in these 2 sections, but the last 2 sections, they are dominated by the image of water. Phoenician was an ancient Semitic region in the eastern Mediterranean, roughly where modern Lebanon and Syria are now located. Though the Phoenician had trade routes spanning much of the Mediterranean Sea, we get profit and loss, rose and fell, age and youth, Gentile and Jew, all pairs of opposite in this section. All differences which death renders immaterial. Death is a leveler, and death is a recurring image in the wasteland in various pervasive form. Again the word drowned appears, and with it comes the spectre of death by water. Is Philebus healed through his death by water? Is drowning a blessed release, a sort of belated baptism or spiritual immersion, or a tragedy designed to show the futility of trade and empire building? The ambiguity remains unresolved. The poet has not given any specific hint to these questions, and this is the text. We are going to read the text now. Philebus the Phoenician, a fortnight dead. He died. And purposely the poet is borrowing the figure from the past, from antiquity, for keeping a distance between the present and the time of Philebus the Phoenician. And the deep sea swell and the profit and the loss so he forgot the cry of gulls and deep sea swell. Possibly these images refer to his trade routes. So it was essential for the sailor to know the course of the wind, the favorable wind for the trade. So there is a reference to these routes and the trade practices in these lines. So he forgot the cry of gull and deep sea swell and the profit and loss, because the death renders everything immaterial. A current under the sea picked his bone in whisper. This line also reminds us the Ariel's song in the Tempest. But there is no magical transformation in the case of Philebus, the Phoenician, the sailor. As he rose and fell, he passed the stages of age and youth, entering the whirlpool. So the central image is the image of whirlpool. He was sucked up by the whirlpool. Possibly a comment upon his activities in life. Gentile and Jew. This is the closing triplet, which has a hint of a warning, a message. Gentile or Jew, O you who turn the wheel and look to the windward. So you turn the wheel of time and you are looking for the wind, the direction of the wind. So it's a message for all, whether they are Gentile or Jew. Consider Philebus, who was once handsome and tall as you. So consider the case of this sailor and learn from him that without a desire for spiritual value, there cannot be a resurrection or renewal in life. So, a clear warning, a message is given in these 8 lines, which is the shortest of the section of the wasteland. It describes only a death. And these are some of the comments on this section by various critics. Philebus, the Phoenician, has drowned in the sea, where his body has been picked apart by the creature of the sea entering a whirlpool. The second triplet can be associated with watching your life flicker through your eyes in the moment before death. So it could be a view of death, a vision of death, and a vision of meditation, vision of speculation when the man nears the death. Sailor who was drowned after leading a boring business career, he was caught in a whirlpool and passed through various stages. There is no chance of rebirth for the sailor who represents the modern man, because there is no desire to follow the spiritual value. This is one of the interpretations. The rejection of higher value is the cause of inevitable decay of the modern civilization. We have turned our back upon some of the value which have helped humanity to survive. Iliad uses a rhyming pair like swell and fell at the end of few lines. We see that water has the power both to empower and destroy. So water can be linked to the spiritual value, and water could be a symbol of death and destruction. We can find some example from our contemporary life. Monsoon has come, the rivers are flooded, and many of men, they are washed away by this power of water. The third stanza is a call to people of any religion to value life and to be mindful of it. Philebus becomes a warning figure in that everyone will die eventually, so you might as well live your life as you want to. There is a warning to all mankind, both Jew and Gentile, to beware of the materialistic life and worldly pursuit. So the sailor merchant must have a balance in life, and he should have two eyes. He should not be one-eyed merchant. One for the material gain and other for the spiritual value. A mix of these two can find perfection and peace in life. Now, some more comments by the critics on this stanza. In Death by Water, Philebus the Phoenician, and hence like Marlowe, a merchant seaman, is purified of the city's preoccupation with profit and loss, but only the death and by water, always symbol of salvation, contrasted with the dryness of the city. That's a statement from J. Stowe. So there is an inherent message of salvation in Death by Water. This is the view of some of the critics. In Death by Water, the deliberate inclusion of narrative could only diminish the impact of Philebus' fragment. This is the second opinion, the second view of the critic, that because of the narrative of Philebus, there could be an impact upon this section, Death by Water. Philebus is not resurrected or transfigured like the transformation in the Tempest. So, tribulation and anguish upon every soul of man that doth evil, of the Jew first and also of the Gentile. To those who perpetrate evil, they suffer this fate of death by water. But glory, honor and peace to every man that worketh good, to the Jew first and also to the Gentile. But those who work for the good of humanity or community, they deserve glory. This is the view of some of the most influential critics. Alone, Philebus is a successful archetypal representative of modern man, and his death is a provocative event. But consider Philebus, who was once handsome and tall as you, would be devalued by use as a moralizing tag at the end of the story. So some of the critics do not agree with the moralizing tag, the moral in the story. The moral is that all men are travelers subject to the lure of change, decay and death. The sailor has forgotten the cry of seagull, the roaring of the rough wave, and his business affair. His body rose and fell in the wave, and ultimately he was sucked up by the whirlpool of death. And now one of the key modern critics, his views have been projected in the closing statement. Kleinthbruck comments, the drowned Phoenician sailor recalls the drowned god of the fertility cults. So a number of interpretations are given to this shortest section with a message or a meaning. Thank you.